Well, that was bad. That was a really bad loss for the Raiders. Um, I cannot believe that Jeff Saturday just waltzed in there and won his first uh his first game as an NFL head coach, basically having less than a week to prepare. My guess is that he was like, okay, Gus Bradley, rest of the staff, just take this over, and we'll put Matt Ryan back in there unexpectedly, and he'll be a stabilizing force, and we'll be able to win this game. But Jonathan Taylor came back to life, 147 yards on the ground, just another glaring example of how the Raiders just really lack any difference maker outside of Max Crosby on that defensive line. I mean, it is bad, bad, bad. And then you can trace this all back to terrible draft decisions like taking Cleveland Farrell fourth overall when nobody, and I mean nobody except for the people inside of that Raiders front office, thought that he was worthy of that kind of draft selection. And now you can really start to begin to point fingers at Josh McDaniels. If you just want an indication of what the vibes are like in the locker room, we have this clip here of of Derek Carr crying after the game, and like, this is not to shame him at all. In fact, I feel bad for him because, you know, while Russell Wilson's corniness is incredibly put on, no, like, this guy's just actually really corny, and I do think that he's a bit of like an old school football guy in that he tries really hard to put his heart into the team. And he's been there for a long time, so he wants to win with the Raiders organization. This kind of stuff, it is sad, and now I do think that people are rightly questioning whether Josh McDaniels might be one and done in Las Vegas.
Um, I love Josh. I love the car. I love our coaches. They've had nothing but success, you know, way more success than I've ever had, you know, and you know, I'm sorry.
Derek,
You know,
sorry, continue.
to finish that, sorry for being emotional. I'm just pissed off about some of the things, you know, that a lot of us try and do just to practice what we put our bodies through just to sleep at night. And for that to be the result of all that effort pisses me off. Pisses a lot of guys off. It's hard knowing what some guys are doing. Like I said, just to practice what they're putting in their body just to sleep at night. Like, just so we can be there for each other. And I wish everybody in that room felt the same way about this place. And as a leader, that pisses me off, if I'm being honest.
Derek, obviously,
Yeah, what was that in response to that last part? I missed that. Which everybody felt the same way.
Oh, I don't. That's not. I'm not entirely sure what he was referring to
Can you
there.
look that up
Yeah.
just for a sec? Because I
Yeah.
am curious. I saw that clip a few times, but not the beginning of what the context was. I mean, like, I'm sure there are a lot of people making fun of that video today. I respect the passion that Derek Carr puts into the game. I do. And, you know, he's played quarterback at an above average level for pretty much most of his career, and you can win. You can win with Derek Carr. You can, if the team around you is constructed the right way. And the Raiders have been mismanaged since his career started there, from Jack Del Rio to John Gruden being ousted because of the leaked racist and offensive emails that Gruden sent that seem to have probably originated from Dan Snyder's trove of blackmail, to Rich Bisaccia being the head coach, the team rallying behind Rich Bisaccia, them going to the playoffs and losing, but a team that did not have the talent like the rest of the teams in the playoffs and still got there. And clearly the players being emotional and loving Rich Bisaccia. To Rich Bisaccia not getting extended and not being the head coach for the Raiders. To then hiring Josh McDaniels, who I really thought would be in a better position than he is right now. Like, you see what he did with Mac Jones in New England and what he's done for his entire career in New England. And I know it was like Denver, they had the whole Tebow situation. It was totally a crap show. And I just thought this time's different, right? McDaniels is going to be able to implement his offense and understand what to do from a head coaching standpoint and also call the plays and, you know, or implement his offense at the very least. And he'll understand how to strike that balance more. And it's just like they just added Davante Adams and forgot to build the rest of the team. It's like a collection of fantasy players. It reminds me a little of the Lakers, right? Bright lights, so we have all the stars, but we're not a team.
And I think it's really hard when, I mean, we're seeing this across the entirety of the AFC West, but like even this team that was theoretically making up the back end of these like projected standings with, you know, the Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, and Raiders. The Raiders kind of always being like, yeah, they're probably going to be pretty competitive based on that Week 17 game last year against the Chargers. They played their first round playoff exit. But my concern is, I have a few concerns. And I think one of them is, this seems to be an issue for many different descendants of the Belichick coaching tree, that they are really, really, really effective in his system. And once they become the leader, they struggle.
I know, and I just thought he would be different at this point.
Because he revitalized and rejuvenated and innovated so much as an offensive coach for under Belichick.
Coming back to New England too, his offense was different than when he was there the first time.
Absolutely.
Brady loves him, right? And
it's just,
they work together really well.
And it's not even as if this team seems to me like to have any. I don't think this team has a huge talent disparity. I think Josh Jacobs, who has put together a bunch of pretty good games the last few weeks, having Davante Adams, one of the best receivers out there, with the guy that he played with in college, it just, you put all of this stuff on paper and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense that they're underperforming this much, but it's just clear that there's a lack of cohesion here, and that clearly, I think obviously based off these remarks, it goes deeper than just like poor play. I think there might be some clashing philosophies or clashing dynamics, both in terms of the coaching staff as well as the players.
Yeah.
And if I'm Carr, I get it. I think if I'm not mistaken, he's the longest tenured Raider. He was on the Raiders when they were in Oakland. Like, he has
second round pick,
right,
with that organization.
Been there his entire career. He's been through a lot. He's been through the wilderness a lot. And I imagine with this, you know, re-teaming up with Davante Adams, getting Josh McDaniels as a coach, I can understand the seemingly very palpable frustration and pain that he's going through, seeing that not only did it not pan out, it will not pan out.
Yeah, and
they're 2-7. They're not going to make the playoffs.
Oh, of course
not.
This
is what
are they
team,
picking second right now overall?
Or
a
fourth,
team
or
that
first.
has Davante Adams injured, Darren Waller, but yes, like he played some part of the career, or some part of the season, I should say. You know, Derek Carr, who's an above-average quarterback, and you're supposed to have this great offensive mind on the other side. It's like McDaniels has no idea how to both be an offensive coordinator and be a head coach.
I think that's the problem.
And the only thing that seems to be saving him is the fact that the frickin' Raiders don't have any money, and
that's the thing, though. Is
they don't want to buy him out,
right? And they don't want to buy him out, but also, it's not as if they can be like, okay, you know what? Back to the drawing board. let's figure out what we can do, work through the draft, work through free agency. You can't work through the draft and free agency. You gave a bunch of picks away for Devontae Adams, and you spent a shitload of money on your defense and your offense. This is the team. This is the team that was supposed to be the competitive team, and this team is 2-7.
A team that went to the playoffs last year.
Right. There's no blueprint. Like, this is the blueprint. This is not a rebuilding team. That's what I think is difficult, because at the very least, the Broncos might look like crap on offense, and Nathaniel Hackett may very well be fired after the season. But they have arguably the best defense in the league.
Yeah.
The Raiders can't say that for anything. They can't point to an area of strength, really, over the course of 10 games. They can point to a few flashes, but that's it.
No. I mean, and that loss in New Orleans was embarrassing. This loss might be worse.
Losing to this Colts team.
Losing to Jeff Saturday.
The first NFL game for Jeff Saturday. Last time he coached was his high school team that he was touting that they were 8-1 the last time he coached. It's like, cool, man.
Yeah.
But 17 and 18-year-olds, you were coaching up really well. Nice.
Right.
Awesome.
Nice.
Bet your staff really thinks that's fun. Bet Gus Bradley isn't just gritting his fucking teeth.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yeah. Oh my God. He must have just.
He's like, this is fine.
Jeff Saturday must have some emotional intelligence, because he must have just been like, I know this is weird. I took this job, but just everyone else handle it.
Be cool.
Yeah, be cool, and like we'll stick to what the original plan was. We'll have this random guy calling plays. I mean, it seemed like he just implemented what their old offense was, and they're trying to make that transition as smooth as possible.
Yeah, it looked like, I think the one thing, obviously, I'm not graphing on anything in terms of long-term success for this Colts team, but the only two things I think I will say that in their like, to their credit for this game at the very least, is that, you know, they were just pounding the rock with Jonathan Taylor, which I think is like, obviously it's like, that's the easy button, but like prior to this game, it wasn't really working.
Well, that's because, as I said, the Raiders have zero difference makers on the center of their defensive line. And even Max Crosby is that. That's it. But he's on the edge, and so, like, you know, it just. I would be very, very worried if I were a Raiders fan, because just the crying like that, it's just
hard to come back for that from those vibes.
The vibes must be so bad.
So
in the
bleak
locker
in
room.
Vegas.
Yeah, it's just if McDaniels is being any more like Belichickian and making it a militaristic style of locker room, they've lost, you know, good old guy Rich Bisaccia, and now it's hard-noser Josh McDaniels, and they're losing. Oh boy.